Hey, what's up everybody? How you doing? Robert Anthony, Living with Rob. Today we're going to get into keeping the storage compartment in my Winnebago 2108DS Micro Minnie FLX model cool. Let's get into the video. So right now in Florida, where I live, where I'm soon to be moving from, it is summertime. It's July and it gets up into the high 90s, and recently it's just been hot as hell here. Heat index up to about 115. So if you have one of these Micro Minnie models, you know that we have a massive pass-through storage compartment here. It's outstanding. It houses a lot of stuff in there and I love it. Inside of this unit is my Lithionics 320 amp lithium phosphorus battery and my 3000 watt Xantrex inverter. Now, right now I have my inverter off. I don't typically run it, but if I get on shore power and that inverter starts running, this compartment already gets hot during the day in this heat, but man, does it get hot in there when that inverter's on, if it needs to be on. Try to keep it off. As you know, if you own one of these, the less you have the inverter on, the less it depletes the battery, but it gets hot. So what I've done is I have devised a system that I'm going to share with you on keeping this compartment cool. I'm going to walk you through it. We're going to do it together today until this project is finished, and I'm excited to share that with you. We'll start getting into that right now. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what I'm going to do here. So what I have is a DC powered fuse block that's going to go inside this wall in here. I've got the fuse that's going to connect to the DC powered fuse block. I'm going to put it on a 30 amp fuses. I have a temperature controller. Now, in the Facebook group that I'm a part of that has this unit, the gentleman that put this fan in just put his on a switch. So what I've done is I actually purchased a DC powered temperature control switch. Now, I'm going to link to all of these parts in the description below on this video, but this is what's going to control whether this fan comes on and off. So this is going to be mounted inside this wall here. This is the DC powered dual vent fan that I'm going to be installing. So what I'm going to actually do is, because of the way that this is configured with the awning here and some of the other stuff, I'm going to actually mount this fan unit on the other side of the camper. Now, there are two reasons for this. One, I felt that it would be a little bit easier to get to with regard to mounting it over here. Two, as some people online in the reviews on this model have noted, this thing does sound like a jet when it is running. It really is noisy. So for me, what I didn't want is I didn't want this unit to be on this side if we're out under the awning trying to enjoy the views, turning on and running. Now, inside the camper, I have a Max Air fan style insert in one of the vent hoods that I'm going to show you at some point, but and that's noisy as well, but I just thought it would be better to have this on the other side. And then what I purchased is I purchased this inexpensive plastic vent system. So this goes on the inside of the camper here. This goes on the outside of the camper. Now, let me mention something to you. And then I have my bag of rubber bands. I had to buy a bag of rubber bands because I couldn't find a rubber band around my house. It's so funny. I needed one rubber band for right here. And the reason for that is, if you look at here, this unit does not have any insect screen or bug screen. That means that theoretically mosquitoes could find their way in here, and I didn't want that. Maybe crawling insects as well. So what I did is I took some of my screen from my van conversion video. I'll put a link to that if you're a Dodge Caravan user in the video here. But I took some of that micro mesh screen that doesn't allow no seams in or anything, and I put it over here as a screen filter. And as you can see, I needed a rubber band to do that. So now I can take this off easily, clean it out when it gets gummed up with dust, and call it good. So this is noisy. That's going to be on the other side. So I have a great friend that allowed me, I didn't happen to have a hole saw, a great friend that allowed me borrow his hole saw. Unfortunately, it was a 2 3/4 inch. I need a 3 inch. So he was kind enough to give me one of his saw blades. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this hole a little bit larger. This goes on the outside, and it has a screen here so that critters can't get in. And this will go on the inside, which I will show you in just a bit. So for the moment, the objective here is to make this hole larger. So we're going to do that right now. The side of this camper is the Azadel composite, about 3/8 of an inch thick, and then it has the foam, and then it has the wood. Okay, so the problem with the saw, it wasn't quite large enough. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to just expand this hole a little bit. All right, so what I need to do, because this is going on the inside, I'm going to take my Sawzall and I'm gonna just carve this hole out just a little bit. I've got a fine-tooth Sawzall right now. Just need to get it big enough to put this through, and you'll see I've got some space on there. I have some space to work within to cover it, but also for the screws. So, and if that doesn't work out, I'm just going to glue it in. All right, so here we go. Yep, I think that's going to work. I'm gonna go in there and you see if I can get it through. Yep, I can. Great. All right, so you can see here, vent is installed, bringing air in from the outside. Okay, there are probably better ways that I could have done that, but the hole saw that I used got me close enough. We're all set here. The passive vent is installed. What I did is I used stainless steel screws all the way around, and I lined it with butyl tape before pressing it to the camper. Took a level and leveled it to make sure that it wasn't crooked. Right here, just like that. Yep, and it's level. So we're good on that. So the next thing we'll do, when we're all done, we'll put a bead of caulk around here just to double seal it. We want to make sure that we get no water in, 100% no water. Let's move on to step number 2 or 5 or whatever step we're on now. All right, so we've got our bus panel here, and I've got the power right here, and then the ground is going to come out here. So we'll be linked into one of these devices here, one of these spaces in this bus bracket here, and I'll show you where we're going to put that in. What I decided to do, this right here is a constant DC power straight from the battery that runs my stabilizer jacks. So on the downside of the switch right here, those are the on and off to the jack, of course, and then these are the power right here. The incoming power is what these are. So that'll be our constant on, is what those will be for that'll go to the bus bar. We're hooked in to the power. I still have to connect the ground. 30 amp fuse, and that fuse goes to the bus panel right there. So that's going to be our power source for here, and it'll give us a few more legs if we need them for the future. But I'm going to splice into this. I had to get this 22 by 3 wire nut. They don't make the crimpers big enough to crimp 3 number 10s together, so I'm going to tape that up real good, button that up. We'll be back in a few. I've got the thermostat, or the temperature switch, hooked up. So I've got my negative on a circle crimp and another circle crimp. These are going to go to the USB power block. And then going to the fan, we've got the positive to the yellow and the negative to the black. According to the instructions, the only place to have that is on their ad on Amazon. So Again, link in the description below. And then I've got 18 gauge wire, 18 gauge wire from the bus, 18 gauge wire down to the fan. I don't think it needs to be 18. The wire to this switch is 22 and the wire to the fan is 22, but we're going to stick with the 18. Let me show you what we did on the inside. We have a 5 amp fuse running to this thermostat controlled switch. The wire goes across the battery compartment over to the fan. All right, so this is the other side. This is the driver's side. And what I'm trying to do is figure out where is going to be safe to punch a hole in this setup here. And it seems like right about here is probably going to be good. I marked here, but I think we're actually going to move to right here. This feels pretty thin. I think this is going to work out right here. So I'll get that marked and then we'll start some cutting. It's never one of my favorite things, cutting into something like a perfectly good camper wall. That's for damn sure. So I taped it with painter's tape to protect the integrity of the surface. Looks good. Looks good. Got the foam, didn't cut through any wires, didn't cut through any wall, or 2x4s or 2x2s. Just for recall, I got this cut. I prepared this, so I soldered the two, because each fan has its own set of leads. So I soldered each of these together, put a butt splicer on them, because I like saying butt splice, and then I put heat shrink on, so we can heat shrink them on. So let's do that. All right, so I'm going to prepare the surface here with a little alcohol wipe. So we got the alcohol wipe, got it clean, nice and clean. And we'll take the butyl tape backing off. The butyl tape is probably not necessary, but also not a bad idea. I'm hoping that my bug screen idea on the back here proves to be a good thing. I don't know that it will, but I can't stand getting no-see-ums and mosquitoes in, and they're funny that way. All right. 4 stainless steel screws. Probably a good idea to screw it on anyway. I went to Ace and I got screws that fit down inside of the indentations on it. One of the things that I really love about Ace is you can go and buy whatever you need and try it out first. So that's good. And one more. So stainless steel is important. We don't want rust dripping down. There we go. That one stripped a little bit. So we're going to take our putty knife and we're going to get the butyl tape off. Okay. Takes care of that. All right. We gotta get in here, work in this cramped space, and try to get that wire crimped on to that fan. Oops. All right. Let's see how this works out. I cut it a little too long. Put it on first, the crimper on first, and then shove the wire in. How about that? There we go. And black to black. A little bit too long. Great. All right. I think the heat shrinking has to be one of the most satisfying things in the world. All right. All right, well, we're at the end of our project, and I thought that I would show you the end result. Waited till the next day. It was just getting too hot, and a storm was blowing in, so I had to quickly pick up all of my tools from around the yard. But let's look at the finished result of our project. So as you recall, we have the passive air vent on the outside right here. This passive air vent is how we get air through into the cabin. Back here is our fuse block. We have a 5 amp fuse running to this thermostat-controlled switch. The wire goes across the battery compartment over to the fan. I have this switch set to come on at 103 degrees Fahrenheit. Now this only runs in Celsius, so you'll have to use a converter if you don't use Celsius. But I have it to come on at 103 and shut off at 98 degrees. The recommendation from Xantrex is to try to keep that unit at the highest inside where it's at about 104 degrees. That's the top end. They like it to be between 104 and 30 degrees. So as with most computer type situations, I know from my past as doing IT work and so forth, the cooler is better. So I'm good with that. Here is our external fan mount. This is the fan on the other side of the unit. Power is running across my battery compartment and inverter compartment up high. And I did use cable staples to staple it in with my Bosch cable stapler. So that's going to be about it for my storage compartment ventilation. If you own a 2108 FLX Micro Minnie Winnebago 2108DS FLX, if your compartment gets hot in the desert or wherever, this might be a solution for you. I will tell you that that fan is loud, but when it's all closed up inside the cabin, it's not as loud as the Max Air fan style fan that we use to vent our place. So I recommend it. It was an easy job. Again, you can see how I spliced in to the various areas to get the power. So I hope you found this video helpful. I'm going to be doing more upgrade modification videos of this unit as I do them and sharing it with you if you have one of these units, hoping that it will help you to make it more to your liking. Really appreciate you. Love it if you'd like, subscribe, share the video. I'd love to have you on board in living with Rob and our adventures. All right? I hope you have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.